Hey guys, let me show you how I use the OpenAI API to extract pain points, desired outcomes, the forces of progress, all from a single customer interview transcript. And for you, it will be with basically no code whatsoever because I will share this entire Colab notebook with you. So let me show you how I do this and we'll get started. The one thing that you will need an OpenAI API key, which is very easy to get at platform.openai.com. And once you have that, we'll get to that step here in just a second on how you use it. So follow the link that I will include either in the description of this YouTube video if you're watching it there, or in the comments or description of the post if you're seeing this on LinkedIn. Either way, it's going to take you to this Colab document where you can save a copy to your own Google Drive, or you can save it to your GitHub account, whichever one you prefer. But you will need to make a copy of it so that you can make revisions. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is to install just a handful of libraries that we're going to need. And then after those are installed, import a handful of libraries that we're going to use. Okay, here is where you need to use your Open API key. You can do this in one of two ways. Either go into secrets and create a new key called OpenAI API key, and in the value, input your key. Or if you don't want to do that and you have copied your API key, then just paste it in right there. Easy peasy. Okay. And now, and notice if you're new to, if you've not used a Colab notebook before, each of these cells, in order to run it, you can click the play button. What you'll notice me doing is I'm just hitting Shift Enter, and it runs it and advances to the next cell. Okay. Now what we want to do is load in our transcript. Okay, this is a transcript that is saved in VTT format, and if you're using something like Grain, I know for sure that Grain is what I use, and you can export the transcripts in this format. I know for sure that if you record your Zoom calls and save them to the cloud, then Zoom will allow you to download it in VTT format. I don't think you can get VTT from your transcripts if they're saved locally. Either way, whatever format you've got your transcripts in, you upload them over here into this workspace. You want to be really sure that you've got it saved elsewhere, which you likely will. But so this format, let's see if I can just show you roughly what it looks like. Yeah. So VTT looks roughly like this. There's a timestamp. There's a speaker and another speaker, and if you have multiple speakers, so on and so forth. I pull this text in. And so now the content is set to the contents of that file. You don't need to know the specific details of what I'm getting ready to show you, unless you're just curious about it. But in short, like, okay, fine, cool, Brian. Why don't I just upload this file to the ChatGPT interface and do everything that you're about to show me? In a lot of cases, you will be able to do that. But in many, the token length is too long. Like the length of the document is too long. And so what we do here is we split it into multiple different chunks of 2,000, so that we're certain that we're not going to run into any of those warnings or frustrations. Great. So, and just to show you like what that looks like now, if I output texts, then it has taken that this document over here, and it has split it into different chunks of 2,000 each, which will then get passed to the LLM later. Okay, now we specify which LLM we want to use. By default, this library will use 3.5. And so, boom, easy, no sweat there. If I wanted to use GPT-4 or Turbo Preview, it's as easy as just defining that model there. The way that you're going to see this is it's using 3.5 by default, which I've found to be working perfectly fine. I've messed around with temperature and with the model, and temperature of 1 and 3.5 is working perfectly fine. Now, here's the fun stuff, and this is where you can take quite a bit of license, and where you can very easily, without needing to understand the code and what's going on up here and all this nonsense, this is just the contents of this template here is just regular old text. And this is where you can tinker around and tailor this to your specific use case based on the types of interviews and the types of transcripts that you want to analyze. The things that I would recommend that you leave in place is, this intro bit here where it defines the interviewer and the interviewee. And this is what's going to help the LLM know whose voice should I be listening to when I extract, in this case, the pain points, desired outcomes, and the forces of progress. We want to be sure that when you define it and say, who are we listening to? So that, like, say, for instance, in the course of this interview, as the interviewer, I state something in the form of a question and present and include in that question some pain point. We don't want the LLM to interpret that as a pain point in the summary if it's not the interviewee that's sharing that. So that's one important thing that exists in this template that you should keep in place. Now, all of these other things, if you want to remove some of these, or if you want to add some additional detail, anything you want to do here in the template, very, very easy for you to do so. Once you do, shift enter, and now that template is set. Now we pop down here, and again, this is just a little bit of additional prompt engineering stuff with this library called LangChain that you really don't need to worry about in order for this to work for your purposes. Just know that it's there, and it is what works together to pass a chain of prompts and all of the contents from that transcript into the LLM. And then we ask it to run the chain. Now, this is what's important. So the interviewer, I'm putting my name, and I'm saying the interviewee is Angie, so that it knows as it's going through this transcript, whose voice do I want to listen to in order to extract all these pain points, desired outcomes, and all of the forces of progress. So very, very straight. I mean, it really is pretty straightforward and easy for you to execute these. The way this is set up, you do have to do it on a one-off, a one at a time basis. There's definitely a way where you could upload multiple files here, have this thing run on a loop, or have a local script so that you could process an entire batch of them. If that's something that you're interested in, of course, reach out, and I'd be happy to work with you on that. And if you're interested in going into even more detail on how to use AI to run customer research, take a look at my bio or the description of this in the content of this post. I've got a workshop coming up next week that I would love for you to join. If this is interesting to you, you can get even more detail, even more assistance there. So thanks for checking this out, and let me know what you think.